Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to CX Idea by Greg. Thank you very much for being here. Anna Maria is also with us. She is really an interesting story. She has an in-depth know-how about customer experience, but let's start. Hi, Anna Maria, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Gregorio? Thank you very much for inviting me to your session. It's great to be here.
Thank you, Anna Maria. Let's please start with a short introduction. What you did, what was your job at Zurich Insurance? I know you since a while, but it's really an interesting story.
Sure, absolutely. I spent the last 22 years working for Zurich Insurance, and the last 8 indeed in the area of customer centricity. And you're sending me now back to memory line. It was towards September 2012 when my then boss, Gabor Dani, and his boss, Isabel Canner, who were coming from ING and had a lot of experience in this area, asked me to join what was then a new project. They briefly explained what it was about, which was indeed the implementation of NPS globally across our company. And I can tell you, little I knew the absolutely fascinating journey I was about to embark on. They actually hire the support of Bain and Company and also of Medallia. And we work with them over months, just really setting up a baseline. We develop a hypothesis on, what our customer strategy could look like. We tested this hypothesis across a few units, and the rest is history. We've successfully implemented not just the framework, and this is something that I really am thankful to them, because I learned that although the project was about implementing NPS, the core of it was really building relationship with our customers and our employees as well. So it was not about a measurement tool, it was really about, mind shift. And, and I basically found my vocation. I've really enjoyed these years working on customers. Yeah.
And I clearly see that also how you're speaking about that with your laughing when you're explaining these things. And I think it's really something important to have passion. And now speaking about what you said, more than 20 years in the same company, then it needs really that you need to be passionate about what you're doing to stay in the same company for so long time. Perhaps could you share a bit of your thoughts why you stayed 20 years there?
Sure. It's kind of funny because I recall when I was offered the first position, which was communications role in the global implementation of SAP. It was a communication role without the finance area. I kind of thought insurance, do I want to do this? But I tell you, looking back, it's been exhilarating 22 years. Insurance is a fascinating industry. It has so many facets and so many different areas within it, and it has such an impact on society. So when I started to realize that we were actually about supporting people, supporting companies, to continue doing what they do and giving them trust, I really fell in love with the industry in the first place. I also joined Zurich at the time. They just became really global. They bought BAT, and we were a relatively small team. Many of them are still working for the company. So we basically grew together, we celebrated the successes of the company together. We went through some challenging times together. I probably spend more time with these people than I've done with any member of my family when you think about a traditional way of staying in the office 10, 12 hours a day. So they've become my family, and Zurich has grown to be part of that family too. So I don't know if that could be the case if you're in a small company, but definitely I have had so many opportunities to learn, to grow. It's been fascinating. Yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anna Maria, it's great what you are saying, and I think if I can rephrase that, what I really like is what you said: impacting people and the life of people, and this is what one of the values that we really share together. And therefore I really like to speak with you to understand better what you are doing, what your thoughts. This is one extremely important topic. And the second one, it's clear, it's business. However, we are spending so much time together with other people, and that we want to create relationship not only with our customer but also with our colleagues in order to create something together. You mentioned something like family. I am also working in a SME, small medium enterprise, since 10 years. I'm very happy to be there, and I really like our work together and how we are progressing. But back to you, because this is really important. You are really very, very positive also when you are speaking about that. You are extremely passionate, and now you left the company. What are your future plans?
Yeah, well, that's you're right. I am passionate. I am optimistic, but I am also realistic. And I can see that we are. I mean, our entire the world, our society, is in a difficult situation through the challenges placed by the pandemic. I believe that we are probably only at the beginning of what might be some challenging months, if not years. On the same token, I can see that governments are really keen on supporting companies to continue business. So, we will see a situation, it's my point of view, in which getting to capital is going to be relatively easy and cheap if you want, but actually finding, keeping, and growing your customer base is going to be extremely important, indeed crucial, to sustainability and just to existence. So I see people like yourself, like myself, being of pivotal really to the success of companies. And I think the more we learn, as I said, I had the pleasure to have the opportunity to implement this program across 34 countries. And, we had over 100 programs because we have different businesses. So I learned a lot. And I would really like to be able to share that knowledge that I gained with other companies and help them to either devise their strategy or review their current situation. I think a lot of people embark on customer strategies without really thinking through, they come a lot of time from the operational side. And what we have learned is that customer experience is not just about service, it's really about understanding your customer and building a relationship with them. So yeah, it's I look forward to sharing with a broader number of companies and people.
Oh, this makes really interesting what you are saying. Also looking forward to get insight and to get also to share the know-how with you. I think you are really speaking about the customer from the earth, and it's something that I really like. You were speaking, I learned during this video that I'm using the wrong word, but I state it again. You implemented measurement framework, customer experience measurement framework, and it's clear it's much more than only a framework. But what was the initial intention? Why did you start measuring such KPIs?
We saw, the KPI for us is just the cherry on top of the cake, if you will. Because, if let's assume, that your customers are not satisfied with any part of your, of the relationship. Unless you know what they exactly want, you will be tapping in the dark. You will be probably, potentially investing money and time in areas that are not relevant to the customer. So for us, although we did want to have a baseline in terms of a score, the most important thing was really to understand what was driving that score. What was really in the heart of our customers. So we departed from the theory that, that there would be three main drivers to any customer relationship with us, and they would be, their perception of our brand, our value proposition, and obviously that comes products and prices and the relationship between those two, and finally the service piece. And within the service piece, we also, distinguish our people, and people would be having the right people, having the people properly trained, but also processes and and tools. So it was a very comprehensive framework, if you will. And we carefully coded all their feedback. So we had open-ended questions, and we carefully coded their feedback and linked these to their scores, which allowed us to then, target investments, target activities, and quickly, really quickly move the needle. Okay. So I think that that's the most important thing, to listen what is behind the score, and then build a relationship.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is really something extremely important, what you are saying. It's not about the numbers increasing, if the NPS is increasing, or the customer effort score is getting better, but it's what's behind of that. And you have really big experience with this measurement, with this customer understanding. Perhaps could you please elaborate a bit more why it's so important to perform this measurement, and why to invest in measuring, let's say, customer experience or customer experience related KPIs like NPS and so on?
I guess it is like defining your roadmap. It just helps you to know if you know where you want to go. If you want to increase your number of customers, you want to increase customer loyalty, you want to increase product density. You have certain targets, but you don't really know where you are on that road, and you don't know what might be the fastest way to get there. So I see NPS in our case, or any other methodology that includes drivers. And I mean, drivers is probably a little bit of a technical term, because what we are doing really is to ask the customers what's important to them, to gauge these responses. It just allows you to be faster, to be, as I said before, it avoids you to waste time, it avoids you to waste money, and it really, in many cases, we found that the changes that we needed to make require zero investment. The investment that was required was really changing a process, targeting our message, speaking in a different manner, speaking to the needs of the customer, speaking to what's important to the customer. So that's what I think measuring is so important, because it just sheds light on your path to your goal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From my point of view, what you are saying is one of the best explanation that customer experience is a growth strategy. As you said, it's about getting this information, and it's not about investing a lot of money, but it's the idea behind customer experience is to, as you said, increase acquisition, improve retention, increase share of wallet. In the case what you said, what are the customer needs? Perhaps they need something additional if they really need, and also to get more efficient, because if people or customers don't need something, then you can change that, or as you said, changing a small process. I think these are 4 key topics to understand that customer experience is not something fluffy or speaking about general happiness, but it's really a growth strategy, and this is extremely important. But I think what you are saying, what you explained to us, it was not as easy as you are now explaining that. What were the main challenges that you faced during this long time of periods of measurement and this transformation process?
Sure. I guess we had 2 main challenges. The first one, coming from a very large global company, we had lots of initiatives. So we were competing in a way with many other global initiatives. On the one hand, we were superseding previous initiatives. So there was some skepticism, there was like, oh no, not another initiative. So, we had to really overcome that and really gain the minds and the hearts of people. And that's one of the beauties of NPS in our case, because when you start to speak, when you start to actually bring the voice of the customer, the comments of the customer back home, it's not what we are telling them, it's what the customer, what their customer at the local unit level is saying. So, we really had to make a point to disseminate, and to feedback, not with our words, but with the words of the customers. And on the second area was also the perception that this could be a controlling tool. And this is not a controlling tool. We see that as an enabler and not a controlling tool. And I always highlighted that. And indeed, for me, was very as important as highlighting the negative comments was to highlight the positive comments, because we had a lot of positive comments. And I think, a lot of people were not aware that we had so many customers that were so thankful that we were there for them when they needed us. So, for me, it was a double goal, or we wanted to build up our employees and really show them what they did well. And then, say, but these things we can do better, or these things the customer would like to have different. So yeah, I guess those were the two challenges, convincing them and clarifying the measurement as well. So I think understanding NPS, understanding the weaknesses of the measurement per se, and understanding what is behind the measurement is really crucial. So those were the two things here.
Thank you very much. I think these are three great insights, and perhaps other people can use them, leverage on them. And as you said, it's not the target, it's not the measurement, but understanding what's behind it. What I also really liked about our discussion was about this international rollout. Brazil, Japan, Switzerland, and I'm not speaking about soccer, who is playing against who, but the rollouts that you did and the difference that are amongst these different countries. Can you please elaborate a bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, that was one of our biggest realizations, and I guess that comes together with understanding the metric. Because, the way people rate a transaction or rates your products or rates your company is highly driven by their cultural background. So, for example, we learned that in schools in Chile, they rate the kids from 1 to 7. So for them, 7 is like a really good mark, and they, anything above that, it just doesn't make sense to them. We also learned that Americans tend to give 10s very easily because they're very familiar, and they think they might, it might be bad for the employee who serves them to give them a lower rating. We also learned, and that was a big lesson, that we translated the NPS question literally to Japanese. And apparently, in Japanese, when you do a literal translation, the question translates into a request to actually recommend your company. So Japanese, they didn't really like that. And, and then the following year, we were made aware of this, and we actually had to have a control group and, have a group that we asked the question in the same manner as the previous year, and then modify it to say, in the hypothetical case that you would have to, that you were to recommend the company, would you recommend us? And then we saw that the score just stood out, so we realized that it was just totally cultural as well. So, we have seen in our market studies that Austrians tend to rate all companies the same. So, it's a sea of sameness because they're just very kind to everybody. So that's why, our baselines were country-based and not globally based. Or if we put together a global number, we always look into the country detail, taking a baseline from the previous year. So yeah, it was interesting.
And from your point of view, your personal point of view, why there are such big differences in this country? It's about culture, or what's about?
I think culture plays a big role, definitely, but obviously in our case, we cater for different markets. I mean, in the US, we are primarily commercial business, excepting for farmers. We primarily target large commercial businesses. In Brazil, we have a mixture between commercial and private lines. Japan is nearly 100% private lines. So you see, a whole array of different customer needs, decision makers, makes a big difference. So I guess the socio-economical situation of a country and our brand positioning also plays a role. You see in emerging societies, if you are a premium brand, people will be very happy to be related to a premium brand. And just the fact of being related is the same as if you own a Lamborghini. If you bought a Lamborghini, I mean, you're gonna obviously say your Lamborghini is great. So because that's what you wanted to have. And it's similar with with brands and countries and appreciation of your brand.
Thank you, Anna Maria. This was also really interesting to understand the international differences. But now it's the moment also to learn a bit more about you. And perhaps which book are you reading now, or which book it's your preferred book? What would you like to suggest to the audience?
Oh God, I love reading. So you pick up a bad question. I read a lot. I do like, however, biographies, and I really like learning. I really like to try and understand what all people before us, or how the people before us appreciated the world, saw the world. And so latest books I've been reading were the biography of Albert Einstein, which is a really fascinating book. And through this book, I learned that when he was asked whether he believed in God, he said he believed in the God of Spinoza. So I made me curious, and I said, so who is Spinoza? And I discovered Baruch de Spinoza, a Portuguese philosopher from the 16th century. He was a disciple of Descartes, and one of the pioneers of the Enlightenment time. So I started to read now his book, which is called Ethics. And at the beginning, first chapter, I thought, oh God, what is this? But it actually happens to be a fascinating, quasi a biography, because it really goes through the way, he saw the world at the beginning, how he, goes in solitude to try to interpret reality, to at the end, evolve into real freedom. And he calls freedom the ability, not the ability to do what you want, but the ability to see the world as it is and accept it as it is. And, I thought this is absolutely fascinating, because in a way, this is what we do with customer centricity. We stop imposing our customers, to like what we want, but, we evolve into that awareness of what is important to them, and we accept what is important to them, and we, work towards providing them what they want and need. Yeah.
That's really, thank you very much for the explanation. And I like also what you are saying, to try to go in depth and to understand more why somebody said something. Then you find out a new book, and then you can deep dive in this book and link to your last sentence, what's important to them. Perhaps what's important to you, because we spoke quite a lot about business. We are during again pandemic, the numbers are increasing, and we are also sorry that it start increasing again, but we need to react. My question is, how can you ensure to maintain a satisfactory work-life balance, or as you saying, or perhaps I'm trying also to push a life-work balance, because life it's also a bit more important than working. What are you doing?
You place really good questions today. Yeah, well, you always place really good questions, to be honest. I guess one of the things that I see as extremely important is, again, going back to what Spinoza said, to gain awareness of who we are and the roles, because it's not one, it's many roles that we choose to take in life, and I think it's super important to say we choose, and we should really take the time to consciously choose who we want to be, and and within that, how we are going to perform within that. So for me, I am really aware that I am not just the customer experience specialist, which I love to be, but I am also a mom, and I am a friend, and I am a human being who would like to make the best out of this life. So I guess keeping in mind that you have not just one responsibility is crucial, and then being who you are across all these roles, I think is what gives you balance. Because if you pretend to be who you are not, which I think many times we do, forced through different situations, or we think we have to, it brings this balance. So I guess that would be my formula: awareness, clear stand in life, and then go for it. And accept reality. In front of every challenge, we have two choices. Either we say, hey, challenge, let's see what we do, or you sit there and cry. The challenge ain't gonna change, so you better take the positive stand. So that's my view.
I fully agree. I always like challenges. Therefore, my answer it's already there. But I think this is something really interesting. And also what you said, perhaps somebody from the audience has interest to speak with you, to have additional discussion. How is the best way to get in contact with you?
At the moment, I would say through LinkedIn. My profile is open to anyone. I endeavor to answer every message that I get. I'm very keen on sharing my experience. I'm very keen on connecting and learning from others. Obviously, I find extremely enriching, and the conversations we have had before, I found them extremely enriching. You come from a different industry. We do have the same type of views about the world, but basically, our experiences enhance each other, and so with many other professionals. So I'm very happy to be connected.
Thank you. I think it's always for everybody a big enrichment if we can have exchange, learn from other people, even if it's in a virtual or digital setup. It's really interesting to have such discussions, such interaction. Perhaps let's ask the very last question. Do you want to leave us, the audience, with your last thought, insights, piece of experience? Please share that with us.
Okay. Let me think. What can I say? Probably, if one thing is what I just said before, decide who you are, live by your values, treat your customers, your employees, everybody around you by those values, and and then when you look at yourself in the mirror, you will feel at peace, and you will be happy. I guess that's my best piece of advice. And in terms of NPS, remember that whatever you do, whatever framework and metric you use, is a tool to an end. But the real essence of a customer strategy is building relationships. And you build relationships with integrity, and you build relationships listening and accepting what you listen, adapting.
Thank you very much, Anna Maria. And also to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, it was again a great discussion with Anna Maria. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Maria. Arrivederci. Grazie.
Arrivederci. Gracias a ti. Adiós. Bye bye, Gregorio. Bye.
Thank you.